Yeah, this one's the most dangerous
Means
yokai.
supernatural creatures from Japanese folklore. There are a million different types of yokai, and all of them survive in the modern day in plushie form. I have captured 8 of them in this video for you. 8 of the most dangerous yokai that
Plushie
you've never
form.
heard of. From creatures that like to lick you to creatures that make you pregnant. This video is a collaboration with the
Excuse me,
YouTube
what?
channel Story Dive. He has a related video that you should watch after this one, so stick around until the end and I'll tell you about it. Let's start off with number 1, the Surube Otoshi. Imagine you're hiking a forest trail, minding your own business, when a
Hmm?
gigantic flaming head drops down to crush you. Luckily, only your legs are crushed, so you haven't
What
died.
the?
Unluckily, the head proceeds to eat you until you do. Your last thoughts as the enormous head is chomping down on your arm
That's so
is, I knew those brownies
spooky.
tasted kinda weird. No, they didn't. You just ran into a Surube Otoshi. These yokai are just heads of humans or
Uh,
even other yokai. They range anywhere from the size of a normal head to even taller than a person. They live in tall trees, and when they spot some tasty prey below, like deer or
bruh.
humans, they would
I'm
drop
never going
down to
to a
crush their
forest ever
prey like they
again.
were student loans and their prey were hopes and
Imagine
dreams.
that.
Sometimes they light themselves on fire to be extra scary. The smaller
JK.
heads are
I'm
not
not
great
afraid of them.
crushers, they're too small, so you may assume that they're not a threat. But like I told my ex, there are workarounds for being too small. The smaller heads live in
Get off
packs
my
and would rain
ex.
down on their enemies in a deluge of destruction. Even if they can't
Uh,
crush a person, they can still trap and eat a person. Now, you could forgive these creatures if they're just feeding themselves, can't blame something for trying to stay alive, but that's not their only reason for killing. They also do
you'll
it
go
because they're
because they
massive
provide head.
wimpers
Oh
that
my
like to
god.
have fun. Sometimes that fun means dropping down or jumping out at people to scare them, and sometimes it means murder. They would throw rocks or buckets and taunt people by saying things like, "Oh, I bet you can't get past us, you dummy with a body." They would crush people for fun and then laugh maniacally like they just made the funniest joke
uh,
ever. One of their tricks is to
so
put
they're
something shiny at the
crazy.
base of a tree to trick people into thinking that it's a
Wow.
coin. When the victim approaches to pick it up, they would drag him into a bucket and hoist him up the tree. Among the branches, they would torture him and eat him, or just drop him to his death. Number
What
2,
the heck?
Stanaga
That's
Uba.
so
It means
evil.
long tongued hag. Here's a story about this yokai. There were 2 people
Hitanaga
traveling together in the
Uba.
mountains at night. They came across an old rickety hut with some light inside. They were tired. An old hut is better than no hut at all, one stupid man said. When they knocked on the door, an old lady invited them in to spend the night, and they didn't mind if they did. While the household slept, one of the men woke up and saw a strange sight. The old hag was crouched above his partner, licking his face with a tongue that was way too long. Was he dreaming? Startled, he made a noise, and the woman scurried back to work on her sewing as if nothing had happened. A knock came at the door. Before the man could do anything, the hag opened the door, letting a demon walk in. It had one eye and
What the
zero
heck?
empathy. It lunged at the man. He scrambled to his
Zero
feet and drew his
empathy.
sword and then cut down at the creature. At that moment, the demon disappeared along with the house, and in the commotion, the hag had stolen the man's friend. Without shelter, the man had to sleep in the open forest in the dark. The next day, he awoke to find the skeleton of his friend nearby.
What
No
the
flesh, just
fuck?
bone, as if the old woman had licked the flesh clean off the bones. So
Holy
Shitanaga-uba are
shit.
yokai that look like old ladies. They live in cabins in the woods to lure weary
This is why you don't
travelers. They
trust
have a
old
taste for
people.
human flesh and use their long tongues to lick their victims. It's not the normal
So
feel-good type
this
of
is the
licking, but the
equivalent
aggressive
of
120 hertz type of licking that tears the flesh off your body. The
Hazel and
Shitanaga-uba
Gretel,
sometimes works with other yokai, like the Shunabon, which
I
was the demon that
guess.
came through the door in the story. Number 3, Iso Ona. It means beach woman, specifically rocky beaches. These yokai hang around rocky coasts, usually in Kyushu.
Beach
They look like
woman.
beautiful women, of course, and they're always wet, with their
Of
clothes
course.
clinging to their bodies like they just swam out of the water to sit on the beach for an Instagram shoot. They have the body of a woman, but below the waist, they're blurry and translucent. Their long hair is always wet. And he saw Ona would sit on the beach staring at the sea. When a
Nice,
person
so wet
approaches, thinking
women.
he just found Ariel, she would let out this banshee shriek attack to stun him. Then her hair whips out to wrap itself around him and pull him into the water. She sucks the victim's
Got it.
blood through her hair. She sucks them dry. The Iso Ona also likes to pose on rocky
Damn,
cliffs
she
near the
sucks
sea.
good.
Sometimes she disguises herself to look like a large rock. She would call out to people passing by in a ghostly voice that hypnotizes them, making them walk off the cliff to their
So
deaths.
this
Then
kind of
she
like
drains the
Siren?
blood from the fresh corpses. The Isoana can also be found in the sea, where she pulls people from their ships into the water. Number 4. Jiboko. Jiboko means tree child. On a battlefield after a battle or at a place where many people died, you may see a type of tree. Look closer and you may find human bones underneath it or blood on its bark. These used to be real trees, but after absorbing all the blood from the battlefield, they turned into
Real
yokai that
trees.
lived off of human blood, vampire trees. When a person walks too
Vampire
close, the tree
trees?
grabs the victim with its branches that look
God
like long
dang.
curled fingers. The wooden fingers
Why do I
stab
have
the
so much
victim, draining all of the
competition?
blood through its branches. This blood drink nourishes the tree. If you cut into a juboko with a knife, blood actually spills out. The victim's corpse stays in the tree branches, allowing birds and bugs to pick the flesh clean. Afterwards, the victim's skeleton drops, adding to the pile of bones underneath. Number 5. Hari Onna, Hook Woman. These yokai are usually seen in Shikoku. She roams the streets at night looking for men who are young, single, and thirsty. She looks like a woman with really
she's
long,
gonna hook you
messy
up,
hair.
alright.
Each strand of hair ends in a barbed hook, though that's hard to see from afar. From afar, it looks like she just woke up. When she finds the victim, she flashes him a smile, a come hither look of death. If the fool
Yeah,
counters
come
with a
here.
smile of his own, her hair
Come
comes
here.
alive and sinks its hooks into his body, ripping him into little pieces of flesh confetti that she can put in her mouth to eat. If the man is not into this particular kink, the only chance of escape is running fast enough home and locking the door. He better hope it's a strong door because she will scratch it with her hooks all night. If the door holds until the morning, she disappears.
God
Number
damn.
6.
You actually have a
Akuro
way out
Kamui.
of
This
that
yokai
one.
is actually a god from Ainu mythology. The Ainu are the native peoples of Japan who mainly live in Hokkaido. There's a bay in Hokkaido called Uchiura Bay, and Akuro Kamui is the god of this bay. It's a giant red octopus, so big that when it swims near your boat, the sea and the sky also turn red from reflecting its skin. It spends its free time grabbing onto ships and pulling them into the depths. It spends its work time outsmarting scientists. People who lived around the bay avoided the waters when the sky was red, or if they couldn't, they brought weapons on their boats in case they needed to poke ineffectively at a giant octopus god. Number 7. Basho no Sei. It means spirits of bananas, a specific type of bananas native to Okinawa. These spirits live in banana trees. Now, banana
Excuse me,
spirits
what?
don't sound so scary. They sound like delightful creatures who would jump into your vanilla ice cream and tell you to enjoy them. And yes, most of the time they're not dangerous. They
That's
don't
not what
usually
I'm
hurt
thinking
people,
of.
though they will scare people just for the lulz by showing their faces on a banana leaf as people walk by. But sometimes they do attack people, and how they do it is so devastating that it deserves to be on this list. Women are warned not to stray near these banana trees in the evening because a banana spirit may disguise itself as a handsome young man to entice her to sleep with him, or worse, it could turn into a monster and take
The
her
fuck?
forcefully. Afterwards, the woman would become pregnant, and when she gives birth, what
fuck?
comes out is not a human baby, but an ugly demon. That's terrible, but it gets worse. What's worse than giving birth to an evil demon baby? Giving birth to multiple. The victim is cursed to become pregnant every year and give
What
birth
the
to a
fuck?
demon every year for the rest of her life. They say people had
Okay,
to kill the demon spawn every time by feeding it a poisonous drink made from kumazasa, a type of bamboo grass also found in Okinawa.
that's so
Number
fucked
8.
up.
Kurobozu. Kurobozu means black monk. This creature mostly looks like a shadow moving in the darkness.
Jesus.
If you can get a good view, it looks kind of like a human figure with a bald head wearing a monk's robes, but it's all black. Black skin, black robes. It only shows up at night. You can't see its face clearly, there seems to be nothing on it, except sometimes you can catch the reflections of two black eyes glinting in the dark. It likes to sneak into homes at night to find people who are sleeping, usually women. It comes up right next to the person's face and sucks the breath from her mouth. Then it unfurls a long tongue to lick the victim's face, eyes, and mouth. The victim wakes up with a face and breath that smells like rotting flesh. People who the Kurobozu visits become really sick afterwards, though they won't necessarily die. Alright, if you like this list, check out the other video
Oh,
from Story Dive about the 8 most annoying
god
yokai, and
damn.
subscribe to his channel. He breaks down a lot of movies and TV shows that I think you're gonna like. Okay, we have some new patrons
Oh,
this week, Wyatt and Alicia. Thank you so much. It's because of the
Jesus.
support of patrons like you guys that allows me to make these videos. Alright, I love you, and spread the knowledge.
Holy moly.